Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hello, everybody. This is Joanne Victoria with another amazing episode of the Sanity Project podcast. You are here to discover a life of clarity, confidence, sanity, and entrepreneurial success. Our guest today is Logan, Logan. Logan is associated with Orion Development Associates, is an executive coach serving individuals and teams in the nonprofit, small business, and professional sectors. What matters most to Lauren is making the world a better place, one individual, one team, and one organization at a time. Lauren brings a complex and varied sensibility to her calling, weaving decades of success in sales in the wholesale apparel segment, to years raising funds for nonprofits, to her current work coaching C-suite executives, frustrated middle managers, small business owners, and teams to become the best they can be in order to achieve and exceed their goals. Welcome to the show, Logan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So you have a lot going on in your life, and I know you spoke about how our listeners could reframe insurmountable obstacles to clearly held goals and develop action steps toward achieving their goals. How would you help our audience do that?
There's something I would love to share with the audience. I actually just 9 days ago returned from my very own insurmountable obstacle that I wouldn't, if we were to have recorded this 365 days ago, I could never, ever have imagined this happening.
Wow.
So I have some very fresh insights, shall we say, and all during the time that I was having this journey, which lasted 5 months, it occurred to me that there was so much similarity to the kinds of exercises I do with my clients relating to their own goal achievement. And I have a very, I don't know that I would call it simple, but a very exquisite, elegant, that's the right word, an elegant way to actually bring out a client's goals and help them achieve their goals. But how that relates to my own medical journey is that I had a goal when I went into it. It was very clear. It was all of the things that we want our goals to be. The popular acronym is Y SMART. You need your goal to be written. It must be written. You need to be harmonious with who you are. You need it to be yours. No one else's, not your bosses, not your spouses, not your friends, yours. Specific, measurable, keywords, achievable, yet realistically high, and finally time-bound. And if you're listening, you're saying, yeah, but what about, that all sounds good. So I did all that. I got my goal. I wrote it down. But what about the insurmountable obstacle? When we look at goals, and first I should start with, why bother setting a goal? The nation, the world sets goals on between December 15th and December 31st, and by January 15th, they're forgotten. It's our tradition. It's what we do. But there are actually people who start using the system at any time of the year and can, even with the changes that they couldn't have anticipated, are able to achieve the goal. Why set goals? Well, these are a couple of quotes. If you don't, someone else will set them for you. But I like this one. It keeps you on target. In Emerson's words, man, woman, becomes what he or she thinks about all the day long. Isn't that true for you?
Yes, it's true for the listeners, and it's true for me as well, because you become more of yourself when you have, the written harmonious goals that are yours and specific, measurable, achievable, what's realistic and time-bound. You don't know what you're capable of until you put it to paper, in my opinion.
I found it to be true as well. Benefits are that you, the greatest part about setting this goal and going through the process is that it frees you to take action. You tend to make better decisions. And it brings out the best in you. That sounds corny, but it does. Here are a couple questions I ask myself when I'm about to frame a goal in my life. Why do I want to achieve this goal? It's a very simple question. Why do I want to achieve this goal? And 1A is, why me? 1B is, why now?
Well, the cliche response from my perspective is why me and why not you? And why now was the other thing? Mm-hmm. 1B. Mm-hmm. When people make goals as part of their entire vision package, in my opinion, it's something they're supposed to be doing. They're chosen to do something on this earth, and their life is dedicated to that, and it comes out in many, many ways. Goals help you achieve clarity, because once you create that goal and you're halfway through, you're going to say, well, this doesn't fit. I'm going to have to change the goal or adjust the goal. And I think that people think that they are concreted into that goal once they write it down. I'm all for writing things down. Mm-hmm. And if they write it down, it's cast in concrete. In my opinion, it's not. I don't know how you operate with your clients, but in my opinion, it's not cast in concrete unless it's explored. If you feel uncomfortable with that goal after a period of time, you have to explore what's going on in your life and in your head and in your heart, that it's not working, that achieving that goal is not working.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Joanne, because I think that that's one of the things that holds people back, and it's an artificial holding back. It's like, oh, I said this was my goal. This is my goal. I can't change it because I told people it was my goal. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You have every right to change and adjust and adapt that goal. That's where we get into the insurmountable obstacles, because as soon as you put that goal on paper, something will come up that you didn't think about, that your best thought patterns, your best working things through, it just didn't occur to you. And it is in how you deal with that obstacle that you're either being honed for an even higher calling, or you're going to sink yourself back down by saying, oh, I didn't achieve my original goal. So it's something to fight against. It really is. Let's talk about question number 2. How will doing this benefit me, my community, the world? And don't say, please, the world, what does that have to do with my life? I'm just a single person, or I just have a small company, or I'm of the belief, and I concur with you absolutely, Joanne, that we are put in this world for a purpose. And there are people who spend their lifetimes, their careers, fighting against the purpose that they know deep down inside they were put in the world for.
Yes.
And there are lots of people who spend part of a lifetime just doing other things. And then something happens, maybe an insurmountable obstacle, to their life, and all of a sudden their purpose is presented to them. And there are other people I've met people who have known from early childhood what it is that they were called to do.
Isn't that amazing? I'll have a guest on and they'll say, I knew since I was 5 years old, and I'm going, God, you're lucky. I've had, I know why I'm here now, and I've had several permutations of it, my calling. It came out in fits and spurts and going through trial and error and so on and so forth. And, it's like, oh, okay, but I've been doing that all along. And they go, yes, Joanne, we know. And they is my spiritual committee.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
And who I rely on for everything. I trust them implicitly. I have to. I mean, I don't pay attention to them, I get screwed. But it's like it's come up in fits and spurts, but I never knew since I was a child this is what I was supposed to be doing. I was mostly walking through life with my eyes wide open going, where am I? Why am I? That was pretty much it for a long time. I still have the where am I got now. The why am I've got better, but it's still not 100%. Yeah. Nobody's given me an answer. And you only find the answers if you keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And creating those goals, and you go, well, that didn't work. On to the next.
Mm-hmm. And so that brings us to the third question. What would it matter if I put this dream, this goal aside? Would it matter? Does it matter?
Well, I'm using that as a question to me.
Mm-hmm.
And my response is, I don't know. I'm not in charge of the big picture. But I figure if, there's all these images around that are made from parts of a puzzle. There's the image of the earth, and how designers create these things, graphic artists. And then every part of the earth is a puzzle piece. And they can be big puzzle pieces or small puzzle pieces, but we, as individuals, are part of that puzzle. So if we're missing, the puzzle is not complete.
Right.
So if we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing on this earth, and that means, other people, we hold each other up in that puzzle. All of the pieces. Probably one of the reasons I never liked puzzles. It's like, it's like, why do I want to put all that together? I don't care. Yeah. So I had to put myself together, not something arbitrarily named in front of me. But it's like we need each other as much as we would like to say we don't to keep the puzzle together. And I wish there were another word for puzzle that would not sound so immature, but we are responsible for who we are to contribute all that we can to keep the earth moving forward.
It is so true. Something that I discovered during the past 5 months when there were periods of time when I was completely out of my own control was the importance of the world around me in helping to pull it all together, and my role to allow that to happen. And I would say that it was humbling to realize that so much of what I consider to be essential, maybe even call, let's say, essential freedoms of life, can be taken away. And yet, if you are willing to stand up and be part of this system, whether it's a spiritual committee, whether it's a group of doctors and nurses and aides, whether it's the people who are coming in and making sure the floor is clean, if you are willing to play your part in that system, ultimately you are getting closer to what it is that you have been called to do.
Yes, it's surrendering to the process. It's not putting yourself first, it's just putting yourself among other people who are supporting what you want. And sometimes they're visible, sometimes they're not.
And so if you began this day saying, why am I here? Or what will this day bring? Or like me sometimes when I remember, this is the day the Lord has made. If you started your day with a question, remember that question and your acting on it is bringing you ultimately closer to achieving your goals.
Absolutely.
So I like this quote. It must be borne in mind that the tragedy of life doesn't lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy lies in having no goals to reach. And that was attributed to Benjamin E. Mays, who has been described as the civil rights movement's intellectual conscience.
Is that M-A-Y-E-S?
M-A-Y-S.
M-A-Y-S, okay.
So let's think about insurmountable obstacles to your goals. Another way to look at those insurmountable obstacles is because when I hear that phrase, I think of a wall, an impenetrable wall in front of me, with which and through which I cannot move. But my personal reality over the past period of time is that the insurmountable obstacles are actually made up of parts. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this phone off. Remember that the impenetrable wall is made of parts. And what appeared to be a surface that was not able to be negotiated, you all of a sudden discover there's a little triangle in the corner of it that can be lifted up, that needs to be lifted up. And so if you continue to look at that insurmountable obstacle, all of a sudden, a face will appear. A shadow of a plan will pop into your head. It could be one of, those lovely beams of light, certain sunrises and certain sunsets. I think photographers call them God rays. Those beams of light could be coming down and playing havoc with the surface of that wall. And you begin to see cracks and light through it. And there's actually all of a sudden that pit of the stomach, no way forward feeling begins to lighten.
Okay, so for the people who are listening, there's always been a jar of some nature that you've experienced, whatever, and you needed to take, you wanted to take the label off, and you couldn't do it. And yet if you kept pushing your finger on the edge of that sticky label that is sticking to the, let's say, the glass jar, and you keep pushing and you keep pushing and you keep pushing, you will reach success, and there will be a little light coming in when you could lift up that piece of design off the jar. And I did that several months back. There was I had purchased something different, probably some sort of a vitamin or supplement, and I thought the jar, it was a glass jar, which, spent too much money on the product there, but it was a glass jar, and I thought, I wonder what's under here. So I worked at it and worked at it and worked at it, and it was a design that made the jar something new. First it was holding my vitamins or supplements, whatever, and then as I kept taking this sticky thing off, it transformed the glass jar.
Oh.
So to me, when you're telling me this story, I'm going, oh, that happens that way. It doesn't seem as though it ever would. You don't know what's under it. As the light rays come down, you don't know exactly until the entire obstacle that you're experiencing, the little sticky paper thing, and there's always a little sticky paper thing on some sort of packaging, but sometimes you remove it and it's just more crap, and sometimes you remove it and it's glorious. So this little glass jar became something else. It transformed, and I didn't have to do anything except create the space for it to happen.
I love that story.
Yeah, it was amazing to me, and I'm going, wow. And then when you're just telling me this unsurmountable obstacle, insurmountable obstacle, I'm going, well, it could be a huge wall and there's a little thing over there, but it could be this glass jar you worked on, Joanne, several months ago. Mm-hmm. So it's just like that. So the door is never closed all the way, in my opinion. We've created the word goals, and, I don't know who designed that as a word. Yeah. I don't know. I should research that because every goal, every word has a beginning, and usually in some other language other than English or American English. And, there's something behind that. What is a goal? We have now decided is just a way to help us get through life. We succeed or we don't succeed. We change the goal. We don't change the goal. Things change along the way, and we have a different adventure based on whether we start with our left foot or your right foot. But I think that it's important to put this in everything, in my opinion, needs to be put in writing, as is represented by the dozens of yellow pads I have all over my office.
Yeah, we have an affinity. I'm the yellow pad girl as well, Joanne.
Yeah, and it's, people go, why are you writing down? I said, you don't get it. There's a connection between your brain and your hand and that pad. There's no connection between your brain, your computer, and a word program.
Nope.
It's not the same. So if you want to, I always say, if you got to listen to this podcast again with your yellow pad, take notes. And after you take notes, if you want to transfer those notes to a Word document, do so. But do it first by hand, because that's vital, that everything gets inside your body, because that's the only thing to carry around with you all day long is your body.
Yeah.
So it imbues inside, creates its own little drama, and then you have another thought.
I love that. And this whole process of writing things down, creating goals, is actually creating the kind of space that you were talking about a little while ago. And it's in that space that what seemed impenetrable becomes solvent.
Yeah, people need to learn to adapt and adjust more. They're not doing that. And you can adapt and adjust any goal that you've created, even some multi-trillion-dollar business plan. Any part of it can be changed. So give our audience, in closing here, give our audience a task that they can do right now, because I'm sure some of them are anxious to find their yellow pad that I hope they purchased since our last podcast. what can they do?
I'd like to, well, there are a couple exercises I really like because I think they can help you toward being able to set a goal. You can take the left-hand side of your yellow pad and put at the top, I am, and on the right-hand side, put, but I am not. And it could, and go as long as you can. I'll give you one of mine that I remember. I am soft-spoken, but I'm not pushover.
Got it.
And just keep on going. And at the end of, when you're finished with that exercise, you will have named all of the ways that the world has labeled you. Most of them incorrectly. Another thing I really like to do is to start. I'm gonna give you an assignment. Let's start a goal planning process. Let's do it now. Put at the top, this is my goal. Make it a Y SMART goal. You're going to have to go back and listen to get all of the criteria for the Y SMART goal. It's really important. This is today's date. And this is the target date by which I plan to achieve my goal. That sounds simple, right?
I know it's a lot of work. I'm just going, I have to do that. So, this is my goal. I have a couple, in mind. And
then don't play around with this next part. I'm not going to give you the whole thing today, but don't play around with this part. What are the benefits of achieving the goal? And what are the consequences of not achieving the goal? The benefits of getting that promotion are that you can finally afford for your daughter piano lessons. You can take the family on a much-needed vacation. You can make your car safer. Consequences are, yes, you won't be able to do those things, but the other consequences, don't make them the exact reverse of the benefits. Think a little deeper on that. I'm not going to be living to my potential. Mm-hmm. I will disappoint myself. So think of benefits and consequences, and then we can go further on this, because your next project will be to look at all of your obstacles. And I guarantee you, the obstacle that is going to trip you up might even be on the second page. It's generally not what we first think of.
No, because when we're doing something, the surface comes out first, and that's just the stuff you live by. Then you get deeper and deeper and deeper. Well, I want to thank Logan for being here today. I'm grateful that she is taking time out of her life at this moment to share with you, the listener, how to move forward in your life, how to bring forth more achievements in your life, and how you can find out how you fit in this planet, how you are important. Not everyone is Elon Musk, but we all have our jobs to do. So we want to support each other in making yourself the great puzzle piece. Thank you, Lauren, for being here today, and I really appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure, Joanne.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.